doing an interview thing about Milwaukee theater things. I'm Jill Anaponisic. I'm the artistic director of Milwaukee Opera Theater, and I am here today in my home office talking to Michael Unger, the artistic director of Skylight Music Theater, because Michael has multiple things to talk about.
Hey folks, let's talk.
Michael, would you like to introduce your first thing?
Well, sure. So as Joanna said, I'm the artistic director at Skylight Music Theater. Been here for about a year. It's been an interesting year to say the least, but we're pressing forward as best we can. We recently released our first virtual full-length musical called Being Earnest, which is a groovy 1960s set version of Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest by Paul Gordon and Jay Gruska, Tony Award nominee and an Emmy Award nominee respectively. Great pedigree, great legacy, fabulous score, super fun. And you can check it out on our website, www.skylightmusictheater.org, Theatre. Okay, that's the plug. Is that okay? Is it okay to plug stuff?
Oh yeah, plug away.
Plug a thing. Okay, I plugged a thing.
Yeah, I streamed it last night.
Oh, you did?
And found it to be incredibly groovy. And I could watch Max Pink eat cucumber sandwiches for like years and never get bored.
Cast is amazing. All local Milwaukee talent.
Yeah.
All awesome.
I had, as a theater person, I had a very happy, sad response to watching it of like gratitude for seeing these familiar faces doing their thing, but also like the bittersweetness or just bitterness of not being able to see beloved performers working live, but then returning to gratitude to see them doing their thing on screen and just know that they were working. That was a lovely feeling to have.
It was a great gift to be able to give the performers and the theater and our community, in this time where there's just no work. And when I think of how successful they as performers were in this really weird, constrained, Zoomy format, which we actually hopefully tried to make better than Zoom, which I think we succeeded in, but just to imagine them doing this for real, in person, live on stage, with full sets and costumes, it would just be spectacular. So maybe someday.
Sure. Would you like us to see the promo video, Michael?
I'd love us to see the promo video.
All right, Jamie Lynn, run that promo.
Roll the tape.
I'm a man with no enemies at all. That is why I'm disliked by my friends. I can't say they care for me, but girls I know disagree. There is no romance, oh sir, when you know sir, she's gone, oh sir. Love will peter out, but if she's distant, stalling, it's enthralling. Love is calling, passion growing strong, but only when it all goes wrong.
Kindness wants me for his own, but if the truth be told, I'm quite bewildered. You were like a sister, now I'm leaving for you, so holier than thou. You're like a stranger now.
For the man who can dominate a London dinner party, can dominate the world. I'm a man who can make the most from doing so very little. For a man can be happy with any woman, as long as he does not love her.
Thanks, Jamie Lynn.
I have to thank you, Jelana, for introducing me to two of our fabulous cast members, Tim Reavers and Karen Estrada, who are geniuses of Milwaukee. So,
Well, you would have met them sooner or later because they don't like, stay behind the scenes for too long. I loved seeing them in this. One of the things that made this like very much not like a Zoom reading of a piece or just a Zoom performance of a piece is like the incredible density of visual information that's packed in there, which everyone has been talking about the management of the files. Like, I know personally that if I had tried to do this, I would have spent the whole time sitting at my computer crying. So I'm like just basically in awe in that scary way that awe is, of how that even was managed, how you managed the project. And I'm curious, did you know how to do that before you embarked on this journey, or did you have to learn on the fly how to knit this together?
No, I would say I've edited quite a bit of material. I've been part of professional DVDs, like of operas I've directed or concerts I've done where I've been in the editing room and chosen every shot. Have I edited every single clip, 700 different takes of a full-length musical before? No, but I've done, you know, shorter projects like that. Shorter projects, but certainly not this scale. So Paul Gordon, the composer himself, edited the music videos, and I edited the scenes. And unfortunately, he did it on Final Cut Pro on a Mac, and I did it on Adobe Premiere on a PC. So we were constantly sharing files back and forth. But so the deal is 7 actors, each in their own homes, shooting with a cell phone on a tripod. Behind that is a laptop, so I can Zoom with them and see the framing on the little iPhone, as well as see their performance and direct them. And then a third device was playing music into their earbuds so they could hear the music, but we would get their voices only, so we could mix the voices as we wanted to and didn't have the music leaking through. So they each of them would upload about 20 gigs of information every single night that Paul and I would parse out. He'd take the music stuff, I'd take the scene stuff, and we each probably spent maybe 1,000 hours editing to get it where it is. So yeah, and to manage it was really just late nights in front of the computer, I would say. Hours and hours and hours.
Well, part of it is you have to fend off the insanity. So like the only comp that I have to this is like having worked on Doc Danger with Milwaukee Opera Theater, which is just audio. Like all we had was audio. And that was, you know, maybe my journey of 1,000 files. And watching this was like, oh, good heavens, this levels up 8 times past that in terms of tracking things. Like
it's hard. It was hard. And, you know, we did this we shot it in 8 days, and I tried to keep track as best I could of the shots and the best shots. But then sometimes, like, you know, the hand would go out of frame, or, you know, they would miss a line, and you don't want to get one Oscar Wilde word wrong. So we, you know, so it was not easy, but it was a labor of love, and I'm very happy with what came out.
I mean, time-wise, do you think it's that different than when we're working in a live environment? Because we do those, you know, we do those tech weeks of round-the-clock work or in the sleepless nights as well, but it's like spending the time differently.
I feel like I was in tech for 3 months.
Okay.
So I mean, the challenge is when you make a film, a normal film, everyone's in the same shot. So if it's a good take, it's good for all 7 people. In this case, each of the 7 takes were separate takes, separate environments, separate sounds, separate angles. So to coordinate all that and have them all match up, and often, you know, I have people in a scene where I have one take, you know, take one is operating take 1, one's operating take 3, and so if the lines don't exactly match up, in between, this is the editing secret, in between the moments where they weren't talking, I would actually speed up or slow down their silent footage so that they could, so the pacing would be right, because pacing is critical in any show, but especially Oscar Wilde comedy, so that as soon as the one line finished, you could get on with the next one. And so if it didn't time out exactly right in the shooting of it, because there was lag and delay with Zoom and internet and Wi-Fi and stuff, so I would have to speed up or slow down the non-speaking parts to make it line up pacing wise.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And what, like, it's extraordinary.
Called
I
stretching.
appreciated the way that you layered the clips in during songs, like the device of kind of using those background clips in the photos, predominantly in songs, to kind of lift us to another plane. You know,
Yeah, so that was all Paul Gordon's genius, the composer's genius. And we decided early on, and it took us both a while to get the visual vocabulary right. We got better at it as we went along, and then sort of would retrack and go back and sort of adjust. But we always thought that, like, the way you would have a follow spot in a musical number, but not in the scene, we decided that the musical number should be treated differently architecturally and visually, with visual vocabulary. So we decided to add these clips, which again, Paul did. I mean, his insanity, his, you know, 1,000 hours. But to give the songs that kind of lift. What?
Just finding them.
So this is a tricky thing as well. So he found all this footage, and then I said, so Paul, it's all public domain stuff. He's like, I think so. I was like, oh no. So literally 3 days, I think, before we're supposed to release it, I said, no, we got to change all the footage. We got an account at iStock, and Paul had to go and find sort of similar images for every single. So that was a little last minute scramble, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you're not alone in that in that. Posey has written to ask who the choreographer was.
Amanda Marquardt, who is our education manager at Skylight. And I mean, I wish we had time to explore that world more, because it's such a wonderful, it's such a 60s craze dance. It's such a fabulous genre era. Think Austin Powers, of course. And I mean, to choreograph on Zoom can't be easy either. So Amanda would do the assessment where she'd teach everyone the jerk or the frug or the twist. And, it's funny, every one of these songs has a song named after the dance. Every one of these dances has a song. There's the jerk, the song, the jerk, there's the twist. Anyway, so Amanda did a great job in communicating vocabulary to the performers. And one of the great things about Being Earnest, and one of the main reasons I chose it for our first virtual musical outing, is that it relies on 2- and 3-person scenes to get the story across. It's not like huge production numbers. You don't need dance numbers. So it could easily work with a few faces on a screen, just talking and singing. But then you want to add this layer of, the 60s world with the extra footage and the costumes and the props. We actually shipped props to New York and all over the place, because one of our actresses who's currently in Milwaukee was in New York at the time. Anyways, but Amanda taught them vocabulary, and then we sort of assign it in different places, and then we'd shoot. We actually had a really funny session where, and I'd love to share it, but I can't right now, but where we just had them go through all the vocabulary, all the moves that Amanda had given them, and then Karen Estrada lay down on the ground and started like doing a worm backwards. So all you saw were her feet traveling through the screen, which was hilarious. And then Tim did some really silly stuff. Anyway, so Paul took all those things and edited those little fragments into the musical numbers. Amanda did a great job of giving them the vocabulary, and we used it as much as we could, but it was hard to do real choreography as Amanda would have done it if we did it on stage.
Yeah, I remember the go-go boots. That would have been.
The go-go boots were great. Yeah, Seymour Arens, our costume director, did a great job in figuring out some 60s vibe clothes for people. We sent those around to people, and we sent chairs around from the prop department, and we had all sorts of prop people and production people delivering furniture. And then there's a really funny scene where, or story where Joey Shalius as Jack gets the handbag.
Yes.
Is the sort of deus ex machina of the entire story. And he shows his handbag to Karen Estrada's character, Miss Prism, and then he gives it to her through the Zoom windows. I called those breaking the box. So literally we shot that first in that day. And then we had an assistant who went to Joey's house, picked up the handbag, drove it to Karen's, and then we shot Karen receiving the bag at Karen's house the same day. And then I edited things together.
So rather than having 2 handbags.
Well, they had to match, and the theater didn't have matching handbags. They had to match.
Love that story. That's fantastic. I'm watching the time. I have 1,000 more questions for Ernest that I'll just save for some time that we can get ice cream and talk more about it. But
the door.
You have another thing that you need to tell us about.
Well, I mean, Little Shop of Horrors thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in the midst of rehearsals for Little Shop of Horrors at Skylight, and we are we spent a week and a half rehearsing on Zoom, and the show was designed and staged with physical distancing in mind. So for instance, the urchins who normally interact choreographically and very much in scene work with the rest of the characters live in their own apartments above the flower shop. So Brian Prather, our fab designer, he designed a level above the costume shop that looks like a Skid Row, a set of brownstones, and they barely leave their apartments, and there are walls between the apartments so they can be next to each other, but their airspace is not combined because there are walls between them. They come down stage very infrequently, and when they do, like to back up the dentist number, they wear hygienic masks. So we can have them closer in proximity, although not too close, because they're wearing masks. Anyway, so the whole show was staged on Zoom. I used a program called Stage Right, developed by Jeff Whiting of Open Jar Institute, which is a great program for directors where basically on one layer you have the floor plan of the show, on the next layer you have the characters and have little headshots of all the actors. And when you move them around, you go to the next chart and they're where they are, they're where you left them, and you move them to the next one. So you can actually watch the entire show staging wise as they move. So I shared those charts with the actors and we talked through every line and said, okay, this is scene 13, move point 13.1, 13.2.3, and every single move, they would write down the scripts as if we were in the room together, but they're watching it happen on this little staging program. Anyway, so today is the first day we arrive on stage, and we are with masks. We're going to stay socially distant and just see how it translates from what we learned on Zoom on a computer to 3D real life people in space.
Will you remind me when you open, because my head is like swimming dates of all kinds of performances. Say it again.
November 13th.
November 13th. Okay, so I remember reading on a Facebook post that you staged it in 5 days using.
Yes, 5 or 6. Yeah.
Okay, and then so what I'm asking about is like how the process adjusted to this kind of hybrid approach of using Zoom for rehearsals and the new software for staging, where they're watching their. It seems like it's kind of like the old school director trick of like having a penny be each person in the cast, and you're like
pennies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so beautifully updated and certainly useful now when we're trying to stage things in a global pandemic. But now you're shifting.
Right for everything. I pre-stage everything with that program just because it's such an easy way to visualize the flow of the show. So I would do that anyway.
Okay, great.
Music rehearsals are impossible on Zoom. They're just hard. So we would actually send them the clip, the audio backing track. Dave Bonifilio, our music director, would send them a piano track, and so they would play it on their end and sing it because we couldn't sync up if he played it or someone else played it. So we had to rehearse each person individually. We did have a couple of music rehearsals in person with them, very socially distanced in the salon with masks on, just because you couldn't do the harmonies of the Three Urchins without on Zoom. It was just impossible.
Yeah, no, I've discovered that to be the case as well.
Yeah,
I think it's
yes.
a real challenge in our particular genre.
Yeah, there is some software coming out that is trying to mitigate those problems, but anyway, they're working on it.
So now, what do you expect things to be like over the next few weeks while you're in the theater?
Careful.
Yeah.
We have to be vigilant. We're not in the finest state in terms of COVID numbers.
No.
And I firmly believe there's a way to do this successfully, but we have to do it the right way. And safety and health has to be paramount importance, more important than any musical ever. So we're going to be really super careful and keep distance. And everyone gets tested every week. We all tested negative. We all had our tests on Tuesday, and so we're continuing with that protocol and obviously following all the other CDC and state guidelines, which changed almost daily. So
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's just riding that really unpredictable wave of both the COVID numbers and the restrictions that we manage. I'm curious.
Good response. Like people are buying tickets. Like people want to get back in the theater. And again, it's not right for everyone to come back. But if you feel ready, we're the theater socially distanced. They're half the seats are taped off, so you can't be near other parties. So we're doing the best we can.
I know you already have, but do you want to take a few minutes to describe Little Shop of Horrors from the audience's point of view? Like what will be different compared to seeing a musical in 2019?
So from the backstage perspective, something that will be different are that the set designer, costume designer, lighting designer, and choreographer are not on site. They're like logging into tech rehearsals by Zoom.
Okay.
So Zoom's great. We love Zoom for lots of things. But choreographically, people will not be near each other. Blocking wise, there's a kiss and there's a slap. Seymour and Audrey embrace and kiss, and Oren slaps Audrey, and that will be done with lighting magic and far, slow motion maybe far across the stage. So those things, I think the audience will forgive and actually enjoy those little tricks that we're doing. But you won't see anyone dancing with anyone else. You won't see anyone near anybody else. The way I've staged it, they don't cross their airspace. So hopefully you won't feel that it's foreign, but it will be very different. It haven't been doing this in February for sure.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I'm an inexperienced host. I don't know how to read and listen at the same time. Is there anything else that you want to let us know about Little Shop? Because we should start to wrap things up.
Just that Yeah, I'm so proud of these performers. Again, all locals. Oh, there's one from a guy from Chicago who's fabulous. But it's a really incredibly gifted bunch of people, and they have adapted to the Zoom environment incredibly well. And you know, they are so hungry to get back on stage, as we all are hungry to do work. I mean, I saw your fabulous outdoor dance performance and in the cold and with blankets on, and dancers must have been freezing, but it was fabulous and gorgeous and evocative, and the lighting and I mean, it was stunning. All your work is, Joanna.
Well, just as you are, thank you. Just as you are learning, and will learn through the process of both sharing Ernest digitally and then doing Little Shop in person. But like one thing we learned with the outdoor piece is exactly like just how meaningful the in-person event is for people, and how the extremes that they're willing to go to experience it in a way that feels safe to them. So the fact that we, I mean, I think I will remember, not just because we're living in this extraordinary time, but that we just did a piece where people like put snow pants on to come hear art songs sung in a parking lot. You know, like that's just something that we wouldn't necessarily expect theater audiences to be up for, you know? And
sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I want to hear what you have to say, but I wanted to add, before I got distracted by the chat, that I'm curious over the next few weeks, as you go into this process, this next stage of Little Shop, like how the mixture of excitement, joy to be performing together, joy to be singing in real time, and connecting with an audience mixes with all the concerns that naturally go along with it safety-wise. You know, so just as you emotionally handle both of those things at once, it's going to be a really interesting dynamic in the rehearsal room, and I imagine in performances as you kind of figure it out together.
Yeah, I mean, the safety component is obviously of primary importance. Yeah. And the way we've prepped it, I think, you know, with the way the set is designed and the way we've staged it, you know, accounts for a lot of those issues. And, you know, I've said to the performers, listen, if something we can do that can improve the situation and be more safe, let us know, because you know, we can't know everything, and we're doing the best we can, but there may be things we're missing. And actually, we haven't been in the rehearsal room at all. We go right to the stage because that's got more cubic airspace. So yeah, we bypass the rehearsal room altogether. But I was going to say that we had a premiere, an in-person big screen premiere of Being Earnest a couple of weeks ago, and socially distanced, a very small audience, but to hear people laugh together in one room again was just glorious.
I noticed, like when we were doing the MOT outdoor parking lot piece, that I finally felt kind of whole again as a person, because the digital work we've been doing is very rewarding. It's fulfilling in its own way, but the ability to be witnessing the way an audience is reacting to something while it's happening is a really important link that at least I personally have been missing since March.
Yeah. For the performance too, to hear that interaction, that's why live theater is you know, gold standard for many people, and why, you know, Broadway is such an attraction and live theater is such an attraction for even those big Hollywood stars. So.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really exciting to see, and nerve-wracking, I'm sure. So I wish you rest and resilience and optimism as you do the work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for taking time to talk with us today.
I'm honored. All right.
So this is great. Jamie Lynn, do you want to pop in and do an outro for us, or should I just say thanks for watching? You've got a thing.
I mean, I'll pop in and say thank you so much, Mr. Unger, for coming here today on our second episode ever of You've Got a Thing. Yeah, so you want to host next week? You want to keep this ball rolling? You're
just going to ask him on the spot?
Yeah, totally. No. Juliana's hosting right now. So you see how this, like, I interviewed Juliana interview you.
You didn't know you were trapped in a chain letter.
Like dominoes.
Of hosting.
It's like I don't know. It's just
I'll host.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the guest?
We have to find somebody. So that's to say, if you're watching out there, let us know about your thing.
All right.
So
All
we'll,
right.
we'll let you know, but so we'll be on Friday or Thursday or Wednesday. It's really about like when people can make this happen. So, but I'm excited. Yay!
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank
Awesome
you.
theater people and makers in Milwaukee. It's an amazing place. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's so exciting. You guys too, because you guys. It's true. That's true. All right.
Right.
That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so we went through. So Skylight has their 2 events.
Yeah.
But Being Earnest is on right now.
Yep.
And then what was it? It was November.
Well, I didn't write it down, Jamie Lynn.
Was it 13th or something?
13th sounds right to me.
Okay.
I don't want to be responsible for misinformation on the internet.
We've got enough.
Okay.
Got enough. So in addition to that, then we have Voices Found Repertory, who is another Theater Alliance company. They Call Me Dracula closing tomorrow night, which is loosely following historical events surrounding the rise and fall of Vlad the Impaler. And then they also have a mission audition that's starting the 7th, which is a 3-day workshop series spanning 3 weeks with a different focus each week in the form of 20-minute coaching slots with feedback. And you can find information about that at voicesfoundrep.com. Then, of course, we still have Milwaukee Opera Theater. Do you want to say anything about, this is the last week, yeah?
Yeah, you say that like it's a thing that won't go away. So Milwaukee Opera Theater has been participating in the Decameron Opera Coalition's composition, Tales from a Distance, which has been premiering new operas each week in October for the last 3 weeks. And the finale is tonight at 7 Central. And it features a new opera from Resonance Works called Sourdough Rise Up, and a hip opera from Chicago Fringe Opera called Corsair.
Right on. And people can go to MilwaukeeOperaTheater.org to find
It's
all
a
the links. they
$15
need.
ticket. Yep.
Yeah, $15.
I
I saw your piece last week, and I'm not the biggest opera fan, but I really loved the creativity, just like all of the creative projects that are going on. Just amazing. And then finally we've got Pink Umbrella Theater. They are the theater company in town that creates theater with actors and artists who identify with a physical, intellectual, or emotional disability. My own daughter has worked with Pink Umbrella. Katie Cummings is an amazing human being, and it's the only theater in town. Right, you can actually see Aurora. She's right there.
Oh, she's there.
She's up in the corner there. That's my kid. And so their donation digital drive kickoff is this Sunday. I believe it's at, again with the disinformation, I think it starts at 2. Oh man.
Just stick with Sunday. Stick with Sunday.
Yeah, it's on Sunday. So they're having a whole doodad through the entire month of November to December. They'll have videos from all of these artists. I still have to do a video with Aurora because she's super cute. I'm biased, but and then so their donation drive kicks off Sunday, and you will be able to donate to them through this month, and you should. And you can find all the information about Pink Umbrella Theater at pinkumbrellatheater.org. All these events are virtual. Yes. And then the final thing that I want to mention is Imagine MKE, which is a great organization that we partner with. If you have not heard of Imagine MKE, it would benefit you to find out about those people, but they have a live event on Fridays at noon called the Road of Democracy Conversations. Their thing today is creative community dialogue on arts and civic life. They're doing this great thing about how arts and civic action can work together, should work together, should be a thing. And so that's at noon on their Facebook page. I will be there.
So everyone else should join you.
So everybody else should be there.
Yeah.
That's it. And then everybody, we have an election on Tuesday.
Really?
It's like a thing. It's a thing. And so everyone, if you haven't gotten your absentee ballot in, you need to drop that off. Get your what is it called?
City clerk's office.
Where your
City clerk's office
is, and drop that off. I dropped mine off last week, and the My Vote Wisconsin site lets you know that they have it. So that was a relief to me. If you haven't done that, early voting is through November 1st, and then in-person voting is, of course, November 3rd. Do it. Do it.
Vote.
1.6 million Wisconsinites have already voted. That's awesome. So, you know what else is awesome? We just totally got Michael Unger to host next week.
He might be mad at us right now.
He might be so mad. He might be so mad. It's all in good fun. I really like that guy. I'm really glad that he's here in Milwaukee. I really think he's a great addition to this community. As well as I think you are an amazing person in this community, Joanna, and I'm so glad that we started this thing.
Thanks for starting the thing with me, Jamie Lynn. Amazing person. All right.
So we'll let you know next week who the guest is as soon as possible.
There'll be more things to talk about.
This is a great arts community. People just need to hear about things a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right.
Thanks for hosting today.
You can tell I'm getting nervous. I'm ready to not be live anymore. I can only take it for so long.
All right, 35 minutes. Okay. All right, we are at limits. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Jamie Lynn Gray.
I'm Jilliana Ponisic, nervous person.
Nervous person. I'm a nervous person too. I'm sweating. We're all good. All right. And we'll see you next week on You've Got a Thing.